This video is sponsored by OWC. iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max are finally here, and the Dynamic Island has officially arrived. Most of us probably know what the Dynamic Island is by now, but if you're still unfamiliar, it's really just a fancy, strange name that Apple has given its new pill and hole shape cutouts for the iPhone 14 Pro and 14 Pro Max. Now, the reason for its fancy name is that this area actually has some very useful functionality to it. So let's go in depth, hands-on, with pretty much everything that you can do with the Dynamic Island right out of the box. So there are a few categories of functions that the Dynamic Island currently works with. System alerts and system notifications, live activities, and now playing would be the most popular things you're probably going to run into. In the future, when live activities launches for iOS 16's lock screen, that API can also be used for the Dynamic Island. So system alerts and notifications. These are going to be some of the more useful options that you're going to run into that are currently available. Those include notifications for when you get an incoming phone call, connecting some AirPods, Face ID, AirDrop, the silent switch being turned on or off, low battery, and much more. These are probably the most useful additions for the Dynamic Island, as I mentioned. I like that I can set up a timer and then, have some music playing, and at a quick glance I can see the timer and how much is running. Usually you'd have to go back into the app or ask Siri, and even then sometimes Siri doesn't get that right, so it's really nice to get that information at a quick glance. The best part is, again, I can interact with the island by long pressing to bring up the widget for whatever function is currently happening. Or you can tap to launch into that specific app. Now, there's been a lot of talk about whether it's better to tap into the widget or long press into the widget or long press into the app. There's been a lot of talk about which one makes more sense, and I do agree with the criticism that it does make more sense to tap into the widget rather than tapping into the app. But Apple wants you to go into these apps because there's more robust functionality available, obviously, within the app than you would with the widget. With Now Playing, you can see the album art and a waveform icon in the island, signifying that audio is in fact playing. Now, this works with the music app, but also, as you can see here, Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, and a number of other audio apps and services out of the box, with more coming in the near future. This is also where tapping for a widget would make the most sense. I don't really want to have to long press into the widget to get up the music controls. I definitely don't always want to launch into the full music app. I just want to skip tracks quickly, or maybe, skip through a song quickly, and being able to tap on that and just get the widget right away would be much better than a long press. Either way, it's still very useful to have all of this up here in that little Dynamic Island area. Now, I forgot to mention that if you have multiple functions or tasks going on up here at once, the island kind of splits off into two sections, one for each service or app. You'll have kind of the main longer pill shape cut out for the current app that's probably taking priority, and then it splits off into the little hole off to the side here where you'll have the secondary function. It's very nice to have this, and it's easy to switch and tap back and forth between those functions or apps. Now, technically, the music does fall under the live activity section, as that's something that's currently, going on within your iPhone, but you'll see out of the box map directions, voice memos, and ongoing phone calls, and even screen recordings will be up there in the Dynamic Island, along with other, live activities that are available. The CallKit API means WhatsApp, Google Voice, Instagram, and Skype will work out of the box as of right now, and so you'll see ongoing calls from those apps up here again in the island. Then, with the future Live Activities API, developers will be able to add their own apps like we saw in the keynote. So things like sports scores can live up here, which I'm super excited for. You can track your own favorite team and just kind of get that live sense of what's going on without having to jump into the app. And then you can get something that is my personal favorite, Lyft or Uber ride updates. As someone who had to take quite a few Lyfts over the last couple days, I don't always want to go into the app, and so this would be really nice to kind of see where your driver is at, and you can do that by just looking up in the island, or again on your lock screen when it comes in iOS 16.1. Obviously, in the future, developers of other apps will be able to add their own app functionality to the Dynamic Island, but as of right now, we're kind of limited to select third-party apps, and we're also limited to core system functions and applications. But even at the this early stage, I'm a pretty big fan of the island and how well it works. It's incredibly responsive, and it's useful to see this ongoing information for apps that you might otherwise need to fully open up every time you want to get that information, like the clock app for timers or directions from the Maps app. Of course, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Did you get your iPhone 14 yet? If you got the Pro version, are you liking the dynamic island? Please let me know in those comments down below. Now, before we end today's video, I do want to give you more information about today's sponsor, OWC. OWC's Soft RAID is the most powerful intuitive RAID software on the market for macOS and Windows. It protects your data, it optimizes performance, and it's packed with features like multiple RAID options and predictive disk failure monitoring. Soft RAID provides a level of performance that you simply can't get with hardware RAID. Selectable RAID levels offer maximum value capacity, optimum drive performance, data protection, or a combination of attributes. It's ideal for anyone who needs to safely store and back up massive amounts of data, including, but not limited to, video editors, audio producers, photographers, and graphic designers. For more information about Soft RAID, or if you want to start a free 14-day trial, click the link in the description down below. This has been Dan with MacRumors. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you around in the next video.